What is good, YouTube? This is my second video today for you guys, and I am going to be posting both these up. Obviously you guys will see them both posted up, I guess. But anyways, basically I just did an ITX build for around $400, and now I'm looking to do another build because, what if you got the question, hey Steven, dumbass, what if I want to spend more than $400 on my PC? What if I want a better PC? What if I'm not looking to break the bank, but I'm looking to get some better parts, which is, hey, why I built this. So now we have another small form factor. This time I went Micro ATX to show you that it is possible to fit the same size with a slightly bigger stuff, I guess. I don't know. Same size case. Honestly, this case is about the same size. It's a little bit shorter, like in height, but it's longer in like length. That sounded really stupid, but hey, that's what happens when you don't have a script. Anyway, so it's basically it's not as tall, but it's a little bit longer. And honestly, this thing just looks fucking ridiculous. It looks like a monster. Of course, cases have to do a lot with personal preference. I do think that this is a little bit out there at times, and it is expensive. It is $100 case. There are a lot of other cases out there, but honestly, none of them were really kind of cool. None of them really caught my eye, so I went with this one. Anyways, we have a budget of about $655. Now keep in mind that at this point in time, the MSI Radeon R9 270X Twin Frozer Edition is $179. I just made a build on this yesterday and it was only $169. So keep in mind that this is close to the most expensive I have seen these parts. I mean, even the FX 6300 is shooting up over $100 right now. It's kind of crazy, you guys. It really is. I'd go a little bit more in depth about that in my other video, but it's basically the prices are taking a little bit of a leap right now. So keep that in mind when you're buying your parts. If you do want this build, I would suggest waiting a week or two, or maybe till Black Friday, or even after the holidays to see if the prices go down a little bit, because this is getting outrageous. So we're gonna hop right into this. We're gonna hop right in now. So for the first thing is the processor. I went with the FX 6300 because it is a good processor. I mean, it's not the best, but for the $100 range, it's one of the better ones you can get out there. Anyways, it has 6 cores and clock speed at 3.5 gigahertz, and yes, of course, like most AMDs, it is overclockable and untamed and all that good stuff. Honestly, I'm not an overclocking person, so I couldn't tell you much about that, but even at its stock clock, it still performs very well. I have a friend with one of these. He never has an issue with it. He's got this in a 650, which is basically like having this in a 650 or a 750, and honestly, actually, I think the 650 outperforms the 750 a little bit in some areas, but either way, 650 is the older version of the new 750 Ti, and he plays all of his games pretty much maxed out settings. He never even messes with his settings, and everything looks crystal clear on his computer, so you won't have a problem with it. The FX series processors are not supported with mini ITX, which is why I didn't go with an ITX, because I kind of wish I could, because that thermal take case was a lot cheaper than this one by about half the price and $20 or $10. So, but Micro ATX does support this socket of the AM3 Plus socket. So next we have the CPU cooler. I included CPU cooler because, once again, you're looking to spend a little more money. I went with the low profile one because this case is shorter. The thermal take armor, or the thermal take Core V1 has a lot more top room. It's a lot taller, so you can actually fit in that other case. You can fit a closed loop system, 120 or 140 millimeter radiator in there, no problem. Now this one does not have as much headroom or as many areas to hide the fans. The wires do get very cluttered inside of this thing, so I wanted to go with the low profile, cut low type cooler, and it's the Zalman Quiet Edition, the CPS 8900 Quiet Edition. So I don't know, I think it looks actually really cool. It definitely got some snazz to it, and it's all copper, so I mean that should keep your PC nice and cool, or your CPU nice and cool in there. Obviously, it's a small form factor with very little airflow, so the stock coolers sometimes just aren't good enough. And as far as overclocking goes, I can't say I would completely suggest it because it is going to be a warmer case. But at the same time, you know, you feel free to do whatever you guys want to do. I can't stop you, you know. So anyways, next we have the motherboard. The motherboard I went with, actually the cheapest version of it actually supported 1866 and had onboard USB 3.0. There was a motherboard that didn't include that. Perhaps it was on a different chipset. This is on the 760G chipset. It is the MSI 760G MA-P34FX. And I mean, it's an MSI motherboard. It actually looks pretty cool, pretty decent. Doesn't look as basic as a lot of the motherboards out there. It does have SATA 6 gigabit per second ports. It has 2 of them and 6 SATA 3 ports, so no worries there. Maximum memory support up to 16 gigabytes, which is pretty standard for these smaller builds, smaller motherboards, because they usually only have 2 RAM slots unless you buy a more expensive version of it. Anyways, it does support 1866 memory, so that's always a nice thing to have there. Next we have the RAM. I went with the G.Skill Aries because it is low profile. Once again, with those low profile coolers, you definitely have to watch out with your RAM. Definitely want to make sure you have some low cut RAM if you're getting a low profile cooler, like a low cut cooler or something that's big and blocky and will take up the whole top of that motherboard. You want to make sure your RAM doesn't have those crazy airplane heat fins that are going to interfere with it. So this G.Skill RAM, it's at DDR3 1866 megahertz. It is 8 gigabytes, 2x4. Right now it's at $81.99, and there's actually a promotion, not a whatchamaflyit, I can't even remember, not a mail-in rebate. It is a promotion where they literally deduct money, and this is actually what I was talking about one of my other ones. I've actually seen the price of RAM go down fairly cheap. This is a set of 1866 RAM with free shipping for $73. Like 8 gigabytes of that for $73 of G.Skill, cast latency of 9. Like this is you know, this is a good sale. All of the RAM I've been looking at has definitely gone down about anywhere from $3 to $10 depending on what you're looking at. But meanwhile, in the realm of graphics cards and CPUs, the prices has gone up anywhere from $15 to $30. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. But anyways, that is the G.Skill Aries series RAM, and it's good. You'll have no issues with it. Next we have the hard drive. I went with the Western Digital Caviar Blue, I think it was. Yeah, Western Digital Caviar Blue, 1 terabyte, 3.5 inch, 7,200 RPM. I am sorry about that. 64 megabytes of cache and SATA 6 gigabit per second, so it is slightly faster. This is going to run you at about $59.98, and there's a $5 mail-in rebate, which who the fuck would even bother for that? I mean, if you don't have stamps at your house, it's going to cost you more to mail the damn letter than it is the rebate they're going to give you. Like, that's ridiculous. $5? Like, oh my god. Why bother? Like, that's so much hassle for $5. Oh my. I mean, I guess if you're in a bind and you really need that Visa card. But I mean, it's not even, like, I hope to God they at least put a $5 cash in there, not a $5 Visa card. That sounds like it's more money to make a Visa card and put money on it. You know what I mean? We're not worth the $5. But anyways, we're looking at $59.98. So you want that rebate, it's $54.98. But without it, we're doing it. So it's about $60 for this. And it's a 1 terabyte. You won't have any issues. That's good enough. Next, we have the graphics card. I went with the MSI R9 270X Gaming Edition, whatever, the same thing I chose last time on my $550 build. It is the 270X Twin Frozer by MSI. Now, as you can see, if you watched that other video, this was cheaper in that other video, and that video was made like 2-3 days ago. Like, that's ridiculous how the prices fluctuate like that so much. And I also, I don't have any on my channel because apparently no one likes to comment or like or dislike my videos, but there are people in the other ones that are, oh, this build doesn't work and it's so more expensive now. But do you ever check the date? Because if it wasn't made that day, and even if it was made that day, prices fluctuate so much. How are you guys going to yell at these guys about that? Like, that's super ridiculous. You know what I mean, guys? Come on now, calm down. Prices change all the time. We honestly don't even put these builds up there to say, you guys buy this exactly this. No, mostly it's just for a starting point. Basically for you guys to see what parts we're putting together, the price average we're getting out of it, and basically you guys can go from there. You can subtract some or you can add some. It's up to you. These aren't the built solid, this is what you must get. Of course, you guys can play around with it. That's mostly what it's for. Basically, we're just trying to give you guys an idea of what you can't pick up, should and shouldn't pick up depending on your price range. So some food for thought for you guys out there. Next, we have the case, which is awesome. I actually was going to go for this. I was going to give my brother the FX 6300 along with this Thermaltake Armor A30i or whatever, but then I saw people doing builds in it, and I was like, first off, there isn't really a lot of space in there. Wire management is not the coolest thing. Airflow doesn't look really too much of the best, but I have seen some videos where people's computers have no problem running cool, so I don't think the airflow is really an issue. But I want to build a case that I haven't seen anyone do a good build in, you know what I mean? Like, I was watching them build it. I've already seen several videos with people using it. I want a build that no one has yet. So I ended up going with the Mini ITX, not to mention the Mini ITX one was a lot cheaper than this one would have been. The FX 6300 is automatically $40 cheaper. This case right here is about $50 more expensive. I mean, the 6300 is $40 more expensive, not cheaper. And this case is $50, so that's already $100 more just for the case and CPU. But this does support pretty damn big graphics cards. But that's the case for you guys. It is the Thermaltake Armor A30i. It does have front panel USB 3.0. I'm pretty sure it has 2 of them. It can have optical drives, and it's got two 2.5-inch bays for SSDs and laptop hard drives, and 3.5-inch bays for your other hardcore bigger hard drives. So it has 2 optical drives, and then it's got one of those little mini bays, the 3.5-inch bay at the front. I don't know, I've seen people use those for like weird things like fan controllers and or the little SD cards, like the memory cards that you stick in computers that people still use for some reason. It has those too. Well, it doesn't have them, but it has the slot where you can put one of those in. And you're looking at about $95.26. And it's like, oh my God, Steven, what are you doing? This is a $650 build. Why do you have a $100 case? Because I'm not trying to build an ultimate gaming computer with $650. I'm trying to build an ultimate tiny gaming computer for $600. That still looks really cool, because if it's tiny, it means you're bringing it places, or just saving space. But I mean, if you want to bring it places, that's the one I'm looking for. You're bringing it places. You don't want to bring this ugly looking metal box to your friend's house to show off. No, you want to bring this Thermaltake Armor A30i with the windows in it and the glowing lights and the cool looking shit. And they're gonna be like, dude, how are you outperforming my computer in that little box? You know what I mean? That's what you want to do. That's what you're looking for with this. So you're paying for that when you buy this case. Just keep that in mind. Next, we have the power supply. We have a Corsair CX430M. Now, because like I said, you were like, hey, Steven, I want to spend more money, which is, you know, I wish everybody could say that, because I would love to spend more money too. I went a little bit more expensive. I did go for a semi-modular. It is the CX430M by Corsair, which is basically everything in this power supply unplugs except for the main power cord, except for like the 22 or 28 pin for the motherboard and the 8 pin for the motherboard, or 6 pin, whichever one you use. But basically the 8 pin is the 6 pin connector, by the way. It is just a 6 pin connector, and then it has a little lead that has two little pins, and you actually put them together. It's actually kind of cool. My motherboard, or was it 8? I think it breaks off into 4. It breaks off into 2 separate 4x4. Basically, you just like pop them together and it turns into an 8-pin connector. It's like magic. It's awesome. So anyways, that's what it's like. Basically, you are going to be using those. You are going to be using your 2 power leads from that power supply to your motherboard. You're going to be using the 28-pin connector. I keep calling it that. I'm pretty sure that is it, but I might look like a dumbass if it's not. But you're going to use that main connector, and you're also going to use that little mini connector. You're going to use both of those, but everything else is modular. Everything else comes off, no problem. And it is 80 plus bronze, so I mean, it is efficient, and is 430 watts, which will definitely power this build, no problem. So we're looking at $49.99. with a promotional $24 mail-in rebate, or $20 mail-in rebate, for a grand total of $25. So I don't know how that works out, because it's like $49.99 minus $24.99 promo. That's what it says, and free shipping. But then the total still comes out to $25. Okay, never mind. That makes sense. I'm just stupid and I can't do math. My bad, guys. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's confusing me because it says $20 mail-in rebate, but then it also says minus $24.99 for the promotional code. So I don't know which one it's doing right now. I really don't. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to pay $25 for it, then get a $20 mail-in rebate, because if that's the case, I'm buying it right now. But I'm actually going to look into that, and you'll probably have me make a video for you guys about that. Anyways, so that's the power supply. Good power supply. More than enough. You got it. You're good. Next, we have the Light-On optical drive. It's just the cheapest optical drive I could find right now. It's actually $13.99. I might actually buy that too, because it's really cheap. Because last time the cheapest one I could find was like $16.99. So now, right now, it is $19.99 minus $6 promotional code. There is no mail-in rebate on it. So it is $13.99 if you buy it right now. And I mean, it does all your standard stuff. It is a SATA 3. Actually, yeah, no, I might not buy that. If I'm going to buy one of these, I think I'm going to go for a SATA 6 just because I should. But it is a SATA 3. You know, whatever. It's just to put in the bay so you can have a bay or have an optical drive, just once again to make it that much cooler. I have heard complaints about this case though, putting 2 drives in there. If you have 2 disk drives in there, it takes up too much space, I've been told, for certain fans that you want to put in the front, because it supports a bigger fan in the front, I think, up to 140 or 120, I can't remember. And if you try to put a bigger fan in there, it takes up the bottom optical drive. So keep that in mind, you guys, with this case. Like I said, this case is fairly limiting, and I can't believe it's $100, but like I said, it's so little and so damn cool. I had to make a build out of it. But that is basically my build for you guys for today. We're looking at about $655. That's a bit high, but I mean, this is actually a decent gaming computer. If you were to take out this case and put it in a smaller case, you'd be looking at something pretty halfway decent here. Now, you know, do what you guys want to do with this build. Take it, even if you just take it for informational purposes on what might work with what and what the prices might be with certain things. Do what you gotta do, but I just want to let you know, dude, these small form factor PCs are friggin' awesome. If I would have known about these when I was building my PC, I definitely would have one on my desk right now, because it would take up so much less space and it would game almost just as hard. Only issue I would have is I do have a Toxic Edition 280X, which is like almost 13 inches long, so it's really hard to find a case that can easily fit that, especially in this small form factor. But anyways, that's my build for you guys, my Micro ATX build. This is Steven with All Talk On, and I'll catch you guys later.